things theology, all things theology. We chop it up properly, without an apology. Gotta give that theology to God, hallowed be, cause this is how we do it at All Things Theology.
Yo, grace and peace. Welcome back to another episode of All Things Theology, where this is your host, K-Dub. Today, we got to talk about it. Gateway Church is a mess. It is crazy what's been happening the last 2-3 months at Gateway with the initial scandal with Robert Morris, right? 20 plus years of that madness, under stuff being covered up. You know, now there's tithing scandal. We talked about that initially, where the 4 members filed a suit against the church. Well, it seems that this 4-member list now has grown to over 100, and that 100 people have now gotten involved saying, hey, we want our tithe money back. For right or wrong, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to give my perspective. I want to know your comment in the comment section below. Let's talk about it. Again, this has gone all over the news. Let's talk about it here.
New developments in the latest class action lawsuit filed against Gateway Church in Southlake. That lawsuit demands Gateway refund donations that have been made by church members, known commonly as a tithe. Well, today we found out hundreds of other members are in fact wanting refunds on their tithing as well. To get us up to speed, here's Amelia McGavro.
Some of you have raised concerns about Gateway's financials.
Now, this pastor, I forget his name at the moment, he came out addressing the tithing scandal about, remember, we talked about it, like $15 million kind of has been alleged to become missing, and, you know, and then they alleged that 15% of the finances that were being brought to the church wasn't being used for what it was claimed, which was foreign missions, things like that. And so a lot of people are like, hey, if the church we were sending money to was lying about this, money's kind of not knowing where it's going, then we should get our money back, especially on the promise of Robert Morris saying, hey, if you're not satisfied with, you know, I guess the fruit of your tithe, then we will give you a money back guarantee, no questions asked kind of thing. And I think the issue is with we'll get to that in a second. The issue is with the term satisfied. What does that mean? Is it just personally or how the church is being handled? I think it leaves room to interpretation. I think that's the problem with the whole thing anyway. Again, let's play some more. We'll give some further thoughts.
And stewardship.
Over the weekend, Gateway Church addressed its congregation, saying it's hired a new agency to look into its financial ethics, also claiming the church has audited its records for years.
It has had independently audited financial statements since 2005.
This all comes on the heels of a new class action lawsuit filed Friday. In the suit, a CPA who worked with Global Ministries claims only around $3 million was given to Global Ministries a year out of its.
So there was a CPA, a financial advisor, so to speak, who worked with Gateway saying, no, they weren't using this money for what they are alleging. And this person worked there. I don't know, he, she, I'm assuming male, worked there for a numerous years and saying, I can testify to this. And remember, we talked about how, he initially went to the elders saying, hey, there's some discrepancies here and I need answers or I will resign. And they pretty much like, OK, you can resign. So rather than answering his questions, they just told him to resign, which was a very interesting response. But Gateway is alleging, hey, no, we've been doing everything right. We're going to get an independent person outside and to investigate this, just to confirm that we've been doing everything right, just to kind of interpretate some of this language that's being communicated here.
$100 million yearly revenue. However, former lead pastor Robert Morris said 15% or just around $15 million would go to Global Ministries.
And now we give 15% to missions, and then 15% of that goes to Jewish ministry.
Yeah, and the CPA that worked there saying, no, I know. He said this ministry, Gateway Church, brought in over $100 million. So if you did that math, 15%, so at least 15 million would have to be giving to those foreign missions and things like that, like Robert Morris alleged. But the CPA is saying, hey, no, I never saw more than 3 million. He said, so the most he ever saw was 3. That would only be 3%. So there's at the minimum like 12% missing yearly. I mean, you think about that over a 5-year span. That's over $60 million unaccounted for from the guy that's handling your finances saying this. Very interesting, right?
Hundreds of additional church members who gave donations to the church now want a refund, something Morris repeatedly promised.
If you are not fully satisfied at the end of that year, I'll give you your money back.
Now let's talk about this, because I know there's going to be a lot of comments in the comment section saying they shouldn't want their money back. And I agree. I agree they should not want their money back, because we should give, expect nothing in return. I totally agree. The issue is they had been giving the whole time on false premises based on Robert Morris, right? So they were giving with the expectation that their finances would be being done appropriately, and also that they would be receiving some kind of blessing, financial blessing on top of that. Well, as we can see, I think they probably weren't receiving the financial blessing part, and the church was scamming them and using the money inappropriately, allegedly, right? And so they're saying, well, since Robert Morris promised us that if we're not satisfied, we can ask for our money back. I do think they have a point, according to Robert Morris. The problem is they had been giving on false premises the whole time, biblically speaking, right? We give expecting nothing in return. We are to give freely, right? Not let your left hand know what your right hand's doing. I mean, there's so much, and this really goes to the false doctrine of Robert Morris when it comes to tithing, as opposed to freely giving, right? We talked about this numerous times, right? Any pastor saying if you give, you're going to get some material wealth because of that is lying to you biblically, because the Bible never says that. The Bible never says, I mean, look how that worked for the apostles, right? And so I understand why they're doing it. I think biblically, there's no case for wanting something in return and even suing. But according to Robert Morris, they have been lied to this whole time, right? This is why you need a biblical church. By the way, you need a biblical church. Email me at allthingstheology@gmail.com if you're in the South Lake area. I know some people, right? But let's keep playing it.
In a statement obtained by the lawsuit's legal counsel, Gateway's legal team wrote in a statement, in part, once donations are made, they constitute a completed unconditional gift to the church and become the property of the church, even if described as a return of donation would be in violation of federal law.
Now, notice what it says. So Robert Morris said, hey, look, if you're not satisfied, we'll give you your money back. But even according to their church bylaws, they could not do this according to federal law. So if they would have actually given money back, they would have been violating federal law and probably could have been under a lawsuit even by virtue of Robert Morris. So either way you look at it, Robert Morris, the leadership at Gateway Church who were standing in agreement with this, was lying to you, right? They're lying biblically, and then they're just lying on an ethical level from a legal standpoint, right? Again, look at the church bylaws right on the screen. They couldn't do what Robert Morris is saying he could do legally, right? And so there's a whole bunch of mess going on at Gateway. I mean, put the moral stuff aside just for a second. Even before the moral ethics issue came about, I had been speaking about the false doctrine. Many people have been speaking about, Chris Rosenberg speaking about the false doctrine coming out of Gateway Church. And this is just one big proof of that as well. Let's keep going.
This case is about two things. It's about fraud and breach of contract. It's to not let us see the books and delay in the weeds.
Okay, so this is the lead legal counsel for the people who's saying, hey, they want their money back. And one of the issues that he's kind of expressing is that Gateway won't allow the members to see the books to corroborate the financial issue. Remember how this all came about? The members were like, we don't want to sue. We just want to see the books. You know, you would think an integral pastor would say, yeah, of course. But they weren't allowed to. Again, for right or for wrong, they chose to say, hey, look, well, since we're not being allowed to see the books, we're going to choose the next step, and that's to get legal action involved. Again, that's not the route I would go, but I'm just telling you what happened, right? You just want to be honest with what this story is talking about.
This new defense of it's not legal to return the money is absurd.
Former Gateway member Valentina Hansen hopes Gateway is more transparent.
Know that this is not God's plan. God is shining a light on Gateway Church right now, and he wants to clean it up. And so we as Christians need to stand up and make sure that that happens.
And now the question is, what is the next step? Well, this class action suit will go before a federal judge, and that judge will decide whether or not the church is obligated to issue those refunds. In South Lake, Amelia McGowan.
Wow. If you want me to, keep up with this story, let me know. I said from the beginning, my estimation of all this when the Robert Morris situation started happening is it's going to get worse. Again, generally that is the case. But my advice for those in Gateway Church, which they have lost so many members, like if you look at the pan view, it's like half the church is gone. My advice, because of the moral, the moral lack of trust, the doctrinal issues that are surrounding Gateway Church, my advice is for someone to leave that church, not to leave God, and get in a Bible teaching church who's going to teach you the Bible, that the elders can be generally trusted. And you don't have to worry about these things like that. And so they have biblical structure when it comes to eldership. It's not just one guy and he has all the power and he just has yes men, just doing his bidding. That's not biblical ecclesiology. Again, we'll keep talking about this in the future. If you guys would like, let me know in the comments. Till the next time, grace and peace. Oh, grace and peace. Thank you for watching another episode of All Things Theology. If you enjoyed what you heard today, go on and give me a like. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. I promise to give you weekly lives, videos, interactions, exposing false teachers, sharing with you, the viewer, my theological beliefs, things about the culture, and the Bible. So if you're here for that, come on and join us. Also, if you would like to support this channel financially, you can do so by becoming a Patreon member or a YouTube member. Links are in the description below. You can see content before it drops. You can also have Q&A sessions with also other Patreon members, YouTube members as well. So if you would like that, hit the description link in below.